Hey guys, do you watch European Football Championship? I mean, for the American viewers out there, it's soccer, right? So currently this is a huge sports event. Best European teams compete in it. And there are many football or soccer players in those teams who also have expressed their admiration for chess. You know, come to think of it, chess and football have a lot of things in common. Magnus Carlsen said, for example, that one of those things is the importance of controlling the center. And there are many others. So let's take a look at the famous football players who are also good at chess. I've recently read an article that Harry Kane, England's best player, famous attacking football player, is a big fan of chess, and he is rated around 1200 on chess.com. Unfortunately, I could not find his account. I researched a lot, but he's probably playing incognito. Also, it has been known that some of Harry Kane's colleagues from other European teams, especially from the German national team, enjoy chess on a regular basis, including Joshua Kimmich, Leroy Sané, and Jamal Musiala. They are all avid chess players. Unfortunately, I could not locate their accounts, but I could find an account of a famous football player, one of the legends, one of the best football players of modern times, Mohamed Salah, the legend from Egypt. He's not playing in the Euro 2024 because Egypt is not in Europe, but he's playing in Europe, in European clubs, namely in Liverpool. And he's a pretty good chess player. And what really surprised me is that Mohamed plays the King's Gambit, my favorite chess opening. An opening that was widely used in the period of Romantic chess in the 19th century, where you sacrifice pawns, pieces left and right and try to get to the enemy's king. And he has played some crazy games. Let me show you a couple of them. I was really impressed, and so will be you. So Mohamed Salah, in one of his interviews, said that his dream is to play against Magnus Carlsen and that he's preparing for this moment. So in this game, he is playing against Magnus Carlsen. Probably not the real Magnus Carlsen, but quite close. So he opens up with one e4, f4, the King's Gambit, and the best way to tackle the Gambit is to accept it, as some famous chess player of the past once said. So it is true, the computer gives some advantage for black because black is up a pawn, but white is attacking. Knight f3, standard move, and g5 is one of the common reactions to the King's Gambit. Another one is d6, popularized by Robert James Fisher, also d5, also knight f6, also bishop e7. Practically any move makes sense here. Even knight e7 is a decent try. So, okay, g5, d4, white takes the center. You remember the importance of controlling the center? So everything goes according to the plan. The bishop develops, and the bishop of white also develops eyeing this important f7 square. Pay attention to this because this is very important, and this is a standard way to develop the bishop in the King's Gambit, and to tackle this weak pawn, you will see why it really matters. So g4. Also, a standard strategy for black here is to kick this knight away, because once this knight moves, for example, to e5, queen h4 becomes possible, because this knight used to control this square, and now it moved and it no longer does. So this is a check, and white has to lose the castling rights, and it's very double-edged, but black is the one attacking here, so this is not good. So in this position, after g5, g4, with the attack on the knight, white sacrifices the knight, completely neglects it, because, and you know, the computer, by the way, agrees, because takes, yes, black is up a piece, a minor piece for one pawn, but look at the position of white. Both bishops are on active squares. The queen is activated already and is ready to join the attack. The king is ready to get castled, and the rook is ready to join the attack. It's a fascinating position, and I'd love to play this with white, not with black. The computer gives approximate equality with only moves for black. For example, black here has to give up the pawn, which is the best move. Give back a pawn to to save some time to develop the bishop, for example, here, or first the knight here and then the bishop, because black is lagging in development. Almost all black's pieces are on the back rank, which is not a good thing. And it's totally worth it to sacrifice a knight for this. So knight e7, one mistake, and black is already losing. After 7 moves, white is winning. It's like scoring a goal or even like 2 goals in the first several minutes of a football match. This is the equivalent, I think. Why is white winning? Because of a devastating bishop takes f7. Remember, I told you about this f7 square. So if black takes, white takes on c7 with a discovered check on the king. And once king moves, black loses the queen, and with that, the game, because it is completely lost. So black here did not take the bishop, but rather moved the king. But it's still pretty damn losing, because like anything wins here, but what Mo Salah chose here is really spectacular. Bishop takes c7. He sacrificed another bishop. Black has to take. And now, bishop e6 is a discovered check. It's not the most precise way to finish off black, because bishop h5 would be even better. If the king doesn't have this square, e8 square, because the bishop controls it. So if the king goes to g8, this is a checkmate. So the king cannot go here. Black has to give up some material to run, but black will not run far. The bishop will get taken, and this is just demolition. But what white did here is also sensible. Instead of bishop h5, discovered attack on the king, bishop e6 with a check is also very good. King runs, check. Now white takes the bishop and the rook is hanging. And you can resign here, but black prolonged the agony somehow. White attacks the rook. Black tries to initiate some counterplay. Now here it's important to not allow any perpetual checks by the queen, so white just castles. And one more piece gets added to the attack, then the rook will join. Queen drops back with a check. The king just slides to h1. And here black does nothing and white takes. And here black resigns because black probably has seen mate in 1. Do you notice it? Rook f8 is one way to do it. Queen f8, also checkmate, is another. So Magnus Carlsak has lost in a brutal fashion. I don't know if the same fate awaits Magnus Carlsen once he encounters Mo Salah. We will see. So it's the first game. I will show you another one, also very spectacular. Don't forget, by the way, to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you like this content. So let's dive into the second one. Okay, so here Salah is playing against Maxa 1973 from Sweden. And again, we see the King's Gambit. And here, instead of g5, black chooses to go with d6, the Fischer defense. You know how it got this name? Once Boris Spassky, the Soviet world chess champion, defeated young Bobby Fischer in the King's Gambit. Spassky was a proponent of the King's Gambit and he played it with great success at the highest level. Before computers were invented, before there was any antidote to this potent weapon. So Bobby, upon losing, returned to the US and started studying this opening and trying to come up with ideas how to combat it. And he published an article in some of the US chess magazines where he declared that the King's Gambit has been refuted by him. It loses by force. This is a quote. Of course, it's nonsense. Fischer was just a sore loser in this one, although he is a great chess player. Obviously, I'm a big fan. But here he just could not take this loss. But this name stuck. Fischer defense is actually one of the best way to play for black against the King's Gambit. So d4, again, taking the center. Both sides develop. Here, I think the best move is just to take the pawn. And this is what you are going to get if you play the King's Gambit most of the time. If your opponent doesn't know what he or she is doing, you will just comfortably take back this pawn on f4 and you will have a better position because you have the center. Your pieces are better developed. You will put the bishop on c4, pressure in the f7 square. You will castle most of the time castle short to put the rook on this f file, and you have a great attack. I recommend you check out the King's Gambit. It's very sensible for club level players and for beginners especially. So here Salah doesn't take, he develops the bishop instead, also normal. And here also, instead of taking, which is the best move, he goes for some tactical craziness, which I really admire. This is not correct by computer standards, but by human standards, this is just delicious. He goes e5, and the idea is, what if black takes the pawn? Bishop f7. Again, he sacrifices the bishop on the same square. Here, the best move for black is king f8, not taking, not accepting this sacrifice, and black is better. Because black has threats of its own, for example, e4, this knight is pinned, and black is up material, and black is fine, black is not getting mated. But greediness took over, Maxa 1973, and he or she took this bishop, thinking it's a free bishop. No, it's not. Knight takes e5, check, and double attack on this bishop. Also, the queen will be able also to take the bishop. Here, the king, for some reason, went to the center of the board. I don't know why. The most principled way would be here to take with the queen, continuing the attack, not allowing the king to go back, controlling this square with the knight. But Salah took with the knight, also fine. The king drops back, and now he finally took this pawn. Now this file will soon get opened, and it's going to be bad news for black, because none of black's pieces have been developed, and the king is wide open, naked in the wide open center, so this is horrible. Black tries to develop here. It's important that when you attack enemy's king, you should not trade pieces, you should not just blindly take this. No, you should check. This is a good move. And castle. Now this rook is ready to attack the king as well. h5 is just a horrible move by black. I don't know why black did this. Knight c6 or knight d6 with some attempt to get developed would be much better, but h5 also blunders this beautiful fork. Again, Salah just demolishes the opponent like he often does in football, in soccer. So here we see a similar demonstration of strength and skill. King g8. Here I wouldn't even take this rook if I were white, because it's not going anywhere. Like, this square is taken by the bishop, and if the rook goes to h7, well, it's not doing anything there. This knight is much better than this passive rook. So I wouldn't take it, but taking it is also fine. And here white develops, playing very principled chess. I really admire Mohammed's approach here. Probably he has a good chess coach, can afford obviously good coaches. So black finally develops the knight, but white just continues putting more pressure. Now another rook gets added into the attack. Now he trades some pieces and advances with d5, and black's position is just horrible. Black is also down material. Here white is fine exchanging the queens because the endgame is winning. Black declines, but now the knight jumps in. Now white has also a passed pawn, a protected passed pawn. Black tries to initiate at least some counterplay, but now the knight jumps in, wanting to go here. Here black gives a couple of checks, but white just gives up a rook for the knight, because white is still very much dominating and up material. The rook attacks the bishop drops back, and now the knight arrives on this ideal e6 square, attacking both the rook and the bishop. Now the queen slides from this away from the pin, and it's practically game over. Here black gets greedy and takes a pawn, but knight g5 seals the deal. Now this is a threat with a fork winning the queen, and when the king moves to sidestep the fork, he gets hit with queen f7. And the next move after king h8 will be queen takes e8, checkmate. This game actually ended with a checkmate on the board. Nice mating construction. So Mohamed Salah is not only good at football, he is also a promising chess player, don't you think? Write it in the comments if you agree, and if you want to see more videos by me explaining some chess games of famous people. Maybe give me a hint, whom could I analyze? And see you in the next one. Bye bye.